Hi guys, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 in the house, bringing to you another edition of the Arrow Season 8 review series, and today I'm going to be talking about episode 4 entitled Present Tense, which I've just finished watching a few minutes ago, and I have to say, this week's episode was absolutely fantastic. I know I've said that in previous reviews, but I'm just being honest here. I'm really enjoying this season of Arrow a lot. I mean, I've said in the last review that I think this season has been the best one since probably season 5, and they knocked it out of the park once again, and I've got to say this episode was fantastic. And I'm going to be truly honest here. I think Arrow have handled the whole time travel, different Earths scenario better than The Flash, because I really feel that Arrow is doing a lot of the hard work in terms of the build-up to the crisis. I'm not saying that The Flash hasn't been doing that. They have, but I don't know really. I just feel like the build-up for crisis on the Arrow side of the Arrowverse, it feels more serious, it feels more legit, so to speak. It's almost like it feels like you don't get a second chance. It's not like The Flash where, oh, this happened in the past, let's go back and change it. What I like about the Arrow side is that you don't get a second chance, there's no do-overs, once it's done, we move on. And I really enjoy that side of it, and it really feels like there's no second chances here, there's no retakes. It's like, boom, we've done it, we move on to the next thing. And yeah, that's it really. I've absolutely enjoyed this week's episode. So, just going to do a little quick recap of what happened in the last episode, and that's going to bring us to this week's episode, which I'll be talking about. Now, at the end of the last episode, Leap of Faith, we saw Connor Hawke, Mia Smoke, and William teleported to the past, where they saw Oliver, Renee, Dinah, and John. And the last thing we got to hear at the end of that episode was Dad, and that just completely blew my mind. So that brings us to this week's episode, and I have to say, that shot where we see Team Arrow present and the future Team Arrow with Oliver in the middle, all in the same room in the bunker, was quite a picture. It was like present meets future, and it was really, really good, and it was quite an emotional moment, to say the least. I mean, the look of shock on everyone's faces was a real picture, if I have to say. And you could really see the emotion on William's face, you know, just seeing his dad alive and young as well. It was really, really emotional. Mia was being Mia, you know, stubborn as always, just like her dad. And Connor says to Diggle that you adopted me, and John says, how could I have adopted you? You know, that's impossible. And William says, well, maybe because you haven't adopted him yet. So that was a really good scene. This week's episode, we saw the return of Curtis, who we all remember as Mr. Terrific, so it was good to see him back. He's kind of got a new look going on there, he's grown a full beard. So it was quite good to see our resident geeker / computer nerd back on the team for one episode. Hopefully we'll see him again, so that was a lot of fun. And it was really interesting to see how much of the future Oliver and the team learned about. Renee learns that he becomes the mayor in the future, albeit a corrupt one, and they learn that his daughter Zoe was murdered by JJ, who is the new Deathstroke, much to the shock of John Diggle. So this revelation obviously upsets both Diggle and Renee. Now, I was expecting JJ to show up as Deathstroke in this episode, because as we remember at the end of the last episode, they all teleported back to the present. So I was expecting to see JJ. That wasn't the case, as we learned that Deathstroke that's been attacking Star City is Grant Wilson, another son of Slade Wilson, and we got to see what he was up to, and also we learned that Grant trained JJ to become the next Deathstroke in the future, hence why he murdered Zoe. So it's a lot of intense stuff, a lot of deep stuff here going on here, and we got to see William and Oliver have a few father-son moments. I really enjoyed those scenes of those two a lot. I really did. And there's this moment William says to his dad, "Dad, I just thought you should know I'm gay." And Oliver just laughed and said, "Oh, Felicity and I already knew, and it's totally fine, you know, with us." And so I thought that was a really nice scene. We got to see how upset Mia was at the fact that her dad went off with the Monitor and left her and Felicity, so we got to see those two have quite a very charged emotional moment, and we got to see how hurt Mia was that her dad left her. Also, in this episode, we got to see both Black Canaries working together. That's Dinah and Laurel. We did get a little hint about the Canaries, so maybe they're starting to build up for the Arrow spin-off show, The Canaries. There's something they mentioned about the Canaries network in the future, so that was a nice little tease. So they've already started building up to that, so that was really good. Both teams worked together to stop Grant Wilson, and in the end we got to see Renee begin his campaign for the Glades, and we got to see father and daughter work together, and we also got to see William and Curtis, two computer nerds behind the console. So it was a lot of fun this episode. I really enjoyed it. So after all that, we see the Monitor show up at the end, and he basically says to Laurel that I can give you your whole Earth back if you just perform one task for me. And Laurel says, what would that be then? I want you to portray Oliver. And that's how the episode ends. So, what a way to end episode 4. So, do you think Laurel could portray Oliver to get her Earth back? Because we know she's still upset about losing her entire Earth, and I know she would do absolutely anything to get it back. So I'd like to think she wouldn't. I mean, as much as she would want her Earth back, don't want her to see portray Oliver. But it would make an interesting twist. A lot of people have been speculating that the anti-Monitor is posing as the Monitor. Who knows, really? We're just going to have to wait and see. But loved this episode a lot. Really enjoyed how both teams got to learn about what happened with their children in the future. So they're trying everything they can to learn about how to prevent that from happening. Also, one last thing we got here. Curtis tells Oliver that the blueprints that were used to destroy Earth 2, they're in Russia, so that's obviously setting up for next week's episode. So there you have it, guys. What did you think of this week's episode? Did you like it? Did you think it was good? What were your favourite moments? Was there anything you didn't like? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you all next time for when I review the next episode. So till then, take care everybody.